Sports card breaks. What an important part of the hobby's evolution over the last few years. But where are they headed now? Did we already see the peak of breaking? Are we in a decline? Or are we somewhere in the middle? I'm going to walk you through an analysis I did, and I think by the end of it, we'll have our answer. All right, this is Google Trends. If you have never used Google Trends, I highly recommend you do. Fortune 500 companies use this all the time to run different analysis, everything from real estate, where to put a Starbucks, to hedge funds predicting the movement of stocks before the public can figure it out. You can all see this from Google traffic. That will obviously change as AI takes over search, but for now, this is still valid and can help us find the answer on what is happening with sports card breaking. So I'm going to enter in card breaks because that is actually the most popular search term that I've seen to represent breaking. There are a few others like whatnot and backyard breaks, and I'll look at all of those with you, and you can decide with me on what you think the trend line looks like. So let's check out card breaks. All right. This is 2004 to present because Google was created in 2004, and there's unfortunately no data before then for Lycos and some of the other browsers. So you could do different parameters here. You can say past 5 years, and you can see like peaks, different peaks and things like that. But if we look at 2004 to present, based on card breaks, you're going to see that I think this search term peaked in April of 2021. You might argue that it potentially peaked in January 22, but you cannot argue that after this moment in time, about 2.5 years ago, we have seen a decline. Obviously, there's ups and downs, and we are now at a level in terms of search in August 2024 that is the equivalent of where we were at in December 2019. That is quite eye-opening. Now, this particular search term may not represent all knowledge of breaking and all movement. So I want to look at some other terms to kind of help feed this analysis and see if we really have seen a peak, because based on this, I do think we have a peak in interest of January 22 or April 2021, give or take. All right. You can actually overlay this stuff, which is pretty cool. So we're going to do Whatnot. Now, the thing about Whatnot is it's much more than breaking. It's a platform for breaking, sure, but it's also live selling. Like I personally get vinyl on there all the time, sneakers. So it's really category agnostic. It's almost like Amazon. You're going to see this rip because live selling is going to take off, and it's going to take off in a big way. If you have the chance to privately invest in a company like Whatnot, do it all day long. Because they're going to rip, and they just cover all categories regardless of sports card performance. So you can actually see they were pretty on par in terms of search until October 2021, and then Whatnot went crazy. They probably launched, and I think they started with Funkos, and then they went on from there. We actually did an interview with the VP of Whatnot. You can check out. I'll drop the link in the description. But he talked about how that growth happened, which is interesting. So I'm not really getting a ton of clues from Whatnot here, and I don't like how it's kind of clouding the data, so I'm going to remove it. I don't think it's as relevant as something like Backyard Breaks. This was kind of the first big breaking brand, and this is interesting, right? So card breaking has been around for a little while. It's picked up over time, and you can see it's sort of peaked. Backyard breaks, I'm going to guess that their inception was somewhere in 2020. Let me know in the comments if I'm right about that. I want to know when backyard breaks started based on this Google traffic. There's a chance they could have started in February 2014, but I think this is just noise, like people breaking something in their backyard or whatever. So I'm going to call it, they got established in, mid 2020, and look at their curve. So they're not as big as the entire breaking search terms, but they're following the same trajectory. So let's remove card breaks and let's look at backyard breaks individually. This should be quite telling. I like this zoomed out view, even though obviously they weren't around in 2004. It really shows you the peaks and valleys. So they had a massive one in January 22. That was their peak. But you look at this curve, right? Their peak was June 2023, according to Google search for backyard breaks. They recovered a little bit here earlier this year. And I actually think backyard breaks is on the decline. I would be curious what their revenue is and whether it's been declining or not, or maybe people are searching differently and finding them by other means through social media. But the fact that we can see a peak in breaking and we can also see a relative peak in backyard breaks, I have a feeling this is going to be controversial, but I actually think that we have seen the peak of sports card breaking. I don't think it's going to completely disappear. I think it will be around forever. As a society, we've sort of, ever since the iPhone was invented in 2007, this lovely invention that gives you more dopamine than crack, ever since then, our brains have just wanted more and more dopamine. And, you know, just watching sports isn't enough anymore. We've got to gamble on sports to get our fix. And I think we've entered that, like, if you guys have seen Back to the Future 2, you know, Biff Tanner's, you know, the alternate universe where gambling's like wonderful and, you know, the city's all changed. I actually think that's where we're headed as a society. I think we just want to gamble, and we want things to be fun and exciting. And I'm not going to judge, you know, I'm all for whatever floats your boat, but I do think that breaking will be here as long as people are interested in gambling on sports. And I expect that to rip, you know, sports gambling. That's like an exponential change. But breaking of sports cards, I can actually, I feel confident I'm calling a peak of, you know, about a year ago. I think that was the peak of it, but we'll see. Come back here and let me know if I'm wrong in a few years. Again, hopefully this was helpful. The Google Trends is amazing. You know, you can go to the homepage here and just see what's happening in the world, like summer trends. What are people searching for this summer? Does watermelon hydrate you? U.S. sunscreen has reached an all-time high this summer in terms of search traffic. This will even tell you the hot songs that people are into this summer. So check out Google Trends. Just use it in your daily life. It's awesome. And you could use it for sports card prospecting. I did another video on that. But yeah, hopefully it's helpful, everyone. Thank you.